Welcome to Voodu Warlock 2023, Episode 4. I am level 4 now. So let's talk about some of the changes since the last episode. This is a Constitution build, so I did put a point of Constitution at level 4. And for spells, I did pick up Blur, and I also have Web now. Web comes from the Tainted Scholar Core 2. When you have Core 2, it says Web is added to your known spells, Warlock spells at level 2. I already had that, but I don't have access to level 2 spells until 4, so it doesn't appear until level 4. In the enhancement trees, I also picked up Wand and Scroll Mastery. I really like Wand and Scroll Mastery for heroic leveling. It's great to add, when you have it maxed out, 75% extra healing out of your healing wands and healing scrolls. And that helps to make a big difference, especially when you're not running with a healer and you want to heal yourself and especially others for as much as you can. I love to play healers, so I always like to have multiple forms of healing on me, wands and scrolls, for example. I just have wands right now, but later on we'll have some scrolls too. And I will be maxing that out. And I will be respecking once I get to epics to get rid of that. It's not so helpful later on, but during heroic leveling, Wand and Scroll Mastery is really nice to have, especially in Reaper mode, and it can help to overcome some of the self-healing penalties when you throw in heal scrolls on yourself and you take the big healing penalty from Reaper mode. Well, if you're getting 75% extra healing out of that healing scroll, it makes a nice difference. On the gear side, I have things set aside that I'm just putting on this level. So I do have a Resonance and Sonic Lore dagger. I'm going to go ahead and set that up as a weapon set right there, putting them both there, and then dragging that down into my hotbar, and I have that hotkeyed. And I'm also going to be changing out my armor. I mentioned the importance of having as much fortification as you can. And at level 4, you can have 75% fortification through a Sapphire of Moderate Fortification. You can get that from some of the collectibles traders for just 8 Astral Shards. Now, I can tell at a glance that this item is an old item. Okay, the augment system, just in case you haven't played in years, was redone. Okay, and I could tell just by looking at this one that this one wasn't updated. And that's okay. I don't have to update it, but I can tell at a glance because if you look at the armor on the left, you'll see that the augment slots are both at the bottom under a heading that says augments, and the words blue augment slot and green augment slot are in blue and green, whereas the augment slot on the older items can kind of just be anywhere, and it's just in white lettering. So I can tell just by looking at that item it hasn't been upgraded. Now, if you have an older item like that and you want to upgrade it, and there's no real reason to, unless it's an augment that scales. This is not an augment that scales, but I'm just going to show you for demonstration how to do that. You don't need to use a jeweler's toolkit to pop out one of those old augments. You just get one of these legacy augment unslotters, which are super, super cheap at a general vendor. Lots of general vendors have these, and you're going to double click it. Slide your item in there with the old augment and pop it out. Now notice that the words, that blue augment slot is in blue lettering at the bottom under a heading that says augments. And now to put the augment in, this is the way you put new augments in. This is not the way that it worked before. But now, as of a couple years ago or something, you just put the item right there and you slide the augment over into the slot like that. Boom. And now my Sapphire Moderate Fortification is in there. Right, now I'm going to wear these bracers. It just has a little bit of strength and a little bit of dodge on there. I was just wearing these for the permanent blur, but I have the blur spell now, so that's fine. I have resistance 3 and spell saves 3 crafted onto this Kenneth craftable trinket. And actually, this would be better to have like a Gem of Many Facets. That would be a superior craftable trinket choice. But the Gem of Many Facets, as a craftable trinket, just kind of came into the game, I don't know, 6 months ago or so. And so I just didn't bother for this low B trinket. But later on, I should have some to show you what I'm talking about. I also have this kinetic sphere orb. So I actually want to redo that weapon set. The kinetic sphere has kinetic lore and impulse. So those are both my major damage types that's being done by my Eldritch Blast. Force, which is covered by impulse and kinetic lore, and sonic, which is covered by resonance and sonic lore. So good to go there. I also wanted to mention that on the armor, I have invulnerability crafted on there. That's what I had on the level 2 set of armor as well. I also have lesser arcane casting dexterity. That's because I used to use a shield at this point, so I wanted to craft lesser arcane casting dexterity just to mitigate the arcane spell failure that I was getting from that. But I'm not using a shield anymore. But that's okay. I'm not bothering recrafting my armor because, like I said before, I don't worry about being optimally geared, every step of the way, especially during low levels. So I'm just going to use what I got, and I know I'm going to be changing that out for a Feywild armor next level anyways. And then I have some of these as well. These are Gems of the Ocean's Winds, and they come from the Crystal Cove event. These are really easy farms, quick farms, cheap farms, and these are nice level 4 clickies that can summon a greater air elemental. That's a summon monster at 8. It's like a level 13 summons. So that's pretty powerful when you can bring that out at low levels. I remember when Reaper mode first came out, and it was just kicking our butt, and we were doing everything we could to give us every little extra advantage, and all of us were running with these air elementals out in low B Reaper questing, and it was a huge help. But this is later on, in higher heroic levels, these aren't going to be very meaningful, but, when you're level 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, this kind of summons is pretty powerful for its level. So I don't really use them much these days, but I just wanted to show it in the series and let you know that you have the option to use something like that, and that can be helpful. It knocks down mobs, does a little bit of damage, and it is also summons are really nice aggro grabbers. So if you just want to have something else out there to grab some aggro so that everything's not aggroing on you when you're soloing, that can be really nice. Let's talk about the quests that I did since the last episode as well. I actually did quite a few. I mentioned that I might just eat XP stones to get to level, but I took a look at the quests that were out there, and I decided to do all the Coin Lords quests. So I did the little solo-only quests like Home Sweet Sewer and Arachnophobia and Miller's Debt. And I also did some Korthos quests that gave Coin Lord favor because this is a final life for me. I'm going to stay at level cap and just use the tune to run Legendary Reapers, and to raid tank with. And so I'm going to want to get Coin Lord Finishing School, which is a 400 favor tier reward from the Coin Lords that gives you, I think it's +2 to Diplomacy and Intimidate. And it's that Intimidate that I want because I'm a tank. I want to have the highest Intimidate that I can. So Coin Lord Finishing School is a great way to get a couple more points of Intimidate. So I decided to go ahead and knock out all the Coin Lord ones as well. So that's what I've done since the last episode. And now you're going to go do some Gatekeepers quests. Gatekeepers wasn't out the last time I did a video series or a build series, so why not do something a little bit on the newer side instead of Waterworks or whatever. I'll get on my Nightmare, make the trip a little faster. And the Gatekeepers chain that's the Lost Gatekeepers that's in the Gatekeepers Grove, which is located right over here. And if you haven't played the game for a while, this place was added, I don't know, maybe a couple of years ago. And this is where a lot of the classic modules are accessed. So you've got Keep on the Borderlands there. You've got Salt Marsh there. You've got Temple of Elemental Evil there. White Plume Mountains over there. And Slave Lords is over there. We're going to do the Gatekeepers chain And that's these folks. The 5-part chain, and I think what I'll probably do is just do all 5 parts. And even though that may not get me to level, and even though I'm going to do more this level, I'll probably just do these 5 parts and call it an episode. These are out in the Cerulean Hills, and it was neat that they actually added, you know, some new quests to an older Slayer zone. This used to be just home to the captives and where there's smoke. But now we got some new quests out here. You can still enter the Cerulean Hills through the old entrance, you know, there, at the south end of the harbor, where you always could, and you can also enter it through the Gatekeepers Grove now. And we're just going to do R1. Let's go ahead and bring out one of those air elementals just so you can see it in action. What the hell? Let's have some fun. I can use web. It's nice crowd control. That is a conjuration spell, and like I said before, I do have 3 cleric past lives, so that gives me +3 to my conjuration DCs. Because we're low level, my DCs, you know, even though I'm not a DC caster, my DCs aren't going to be that far off from what a DC caster would have anyways. So it's going to be plenty effective enough for now. Now, if you're a little bit newer to the game, ravens are surprisingly deadly. Sometimes I make jokes on the live stream about how ravens are the deadliest mob in the game, that it's not, you know, demons or devils or dragons. It's actually like crayfish and ravens, you know. They can be surprisingly deadly, so if you're new, don't be surprised if you get murdered by ravens, because that's what ravens do in DDO. Now remember, you need to be close to a Fear Reaper or far from a Fear Reaper, not in between. If you don't want to get hit by its fear dot, you need to be up close and personal or further away. That's why I chose to get close to it. Now, here we have a Reaper, and I know that that Reaper will come right through the gate as long as it's not blocked by those Scorpions, which it kind of looks like it's being blocked by the Scorpions. But anyways, this can be a tactic that when you see this kind of scenario, that, you know, you don't want to open the door right away. Let that Reaper come to you through the door. But unfortunately, like I said, he's being blocked by those Scorpions, and it doesn't look like I can do anything about that. So I'll lay down a web first. And then, what kind of Reaper is that? I can't even tell. It's a plague. Take him out first. Scorpions are also pretty deadly. They can hit pretty hard. Now in this quest, you do have to click on this fountain here that gives you bull strength. And there's another fountain on the other side that gives you like bear stamina. And you're going to need that to get through a gate right around the corner. If you do have the ability to cast that, even if it's from like a wand or a scroll, then you actually don't have to click on the fountains. And if you're doing like High Skull Reaper, that can be a nice shortcut, is to actually make sure you have bull strength and bear's endurance. That way you can avoid at least a couple of fights. Scorpions, you saw them go underground and they didn't want to come back up. Sometimes when you try to perch and do Scorpions and you're in a spot where they can't reach you, they will just stay underground. So I had to come down here to get them to come back up. Click on that to get my bear's endurance buff. And it's this right here that you need both of those buffs to get through. Let's see if I can jump over here. There's a kind of a shortcut if you have a decent jump, but at low levels, you might not have a jump for it. Hey, look at that. I only recently learned about this shortcut. Instead of going down and up, and then that would aggro the lions down there. Just come over here. Hell yeah. There is a chest through there if you want, but I'm just going to skip the lions. Oh, and ladder bug. Well, I guess I'm going to fight the lions. And the ravens. The murder birds. Be able to get in there. Looks like I need to rebuff. Champions, if you're unfamiliar with them, have special buffs, and they're not always the same. And sometimes you can get certain combinations of buff that can make champions especially deadly, especially if they're top tier champions. There's 3 different tiers of champions, and they have crowns of they're like yellow and orange, and then red crowns. The red crowns are the deadliest. If you get a red crown, that's the tier 3 champ, and they have a particularly deadly combination of buffs. They can be really nasty. I mean, they can wipe a party pretty easily. You know, in a group that can be just blowing through content, and then all of a sudden you can get a particularly nasty champion, and then it's just lights out. This guy does hit pretty hard. Although we're just on R1s, no big whoop. But I don't know, got a lot working in my favor now, so he's no big deal. If you were on a lower life tune and stuff, without all the goodies, he might give you a little bit more of a hard time. Look on the skull to finish it up. This chain has a lot of level 3 trinkets. Probably a good, I don't know, about 8 of them or so. Really nice things on these Lobby trinkets. Like, you know, I showed you the profane, well-rounded one that I was wearing earlier on. And there's one that gives heroism, another one that gives blur. Some really neat ones. Take a look at them if you're looking for a Lobby trinket. Okay, we're going to go over to the mines. At this point, behind the scenes, I haven't even made the trailer yet. Actually, I do have a framework set up for it, and music and some text and stuff, but I haven't started gathering footage for it yet. I still have 8 more of the Isle of Dread first looks to post, and I'm hoping to post the trailer for this series in a couple of weeks from now. The end of the Isle of Dread stuff. Demon Soul. Fire elementals are nasty at low levels. Demon Soul. Water elementals too, for that matter. But the fire elementals, they have an aura. And that aura will stack dots if they're a type of champion that gives dots, like Demon Soul. If we had gone the other way, we would come from that way there. But this is a little bit shorter going this way. And we'll go ahead and hit spell power boost. Should be hitting my Reaper spell power boost. I didn't talk about Reaper points at level 4. Oops. We'll talk about that after this. Look at that. He's tearing me up on R1. That was pretty close. Okay, let's talk about Reaper points. So, I do have a lot of Reaper points, enough to max out my trees. But Reaper points are level gated. So all I can get is tier 1 right now. If you have 36 Reaper points, you can max out tier 1 all the way across the board at level 4. That's as soon as you can spend your Reaper points is level 4. Okay? And so let's show you the benefits that I'm getting from that. So defensively, I got +3 dodge here. Got a point of constitution. Here I've got plus an action boost that gives me +9 to saves. That's really nice. And that will stack with the +3 to saves for my rallying cry, PDK past life clicky. So I can get 9 and 3 is 12 to my saves. Like if I'm running through some nasty traps or something like that, +12 to saves is huge. +3 to my reflex saves and +3 PRR. Over here in the Dire Thaumaturge tree, oh, and there's the core that gives me 10 hit points. And I can only benefit from as much as 50 hit points. You do get 8 hit points for every point spent in this tree, 4 hit points for every point spent in these 2 trees, but you can only get a maximum of 50 from levels 1 to 5. So only 50 hit points from there. Point of spell penetration, a point of charisma. This is a spell power boost. Plus one of the DCs of all my spells while in Reaper mode, and +6 universal spell power. And here I get 50 maximum spell points. And let's see, over here, there's not really anything doing anything for me. I guess a point of dex is nice, though. But that's like melee and range stuff. Although the tactics DCs will help my stunning DC once I get to epics and legendaries, and I use the throw the boom and unyielding sentinel, and that has a stunning effect, so I will benefit from this tactics line. We're going to do this one kind of a quick way. Famine Reaper, I don't have spell absorption yet, so they can be a little bit scary before you get spell absorption. They're very deadly Reapers. They are spellcasters. But as soon as you get spell absorption, which you should have by level 5, that's when you start getting... I mean, there are lower level ones, like you can get the little Scarab of spell absorption. That's a one-time use thing, you know, that absorbs charges and it goes poof. But in terms of your rechargeable spell absorption items, you start getting those at level 5 with your Mantle of World Shaper and your Pale Lavender Ironstone. I'll be talking about those in the next episode. Spiders are not affected by web. I'll just toss one down just to demonstrate that. It says that they're immune. Plague Reaper, stay away from me. Alright, I'll be able to see this secret door here because I have True Seeing on my crafted goggles. that works really well to find low B secret doors, but, you know, once you get onto epics and stuff, true seeing isn't going to be good enough. But you still might want to have true seeing, like, if you're a melee, for example, so that you can see through mobs that have concealment, like from blur and displacement. True seeing would negate the missed chances from those kinds of things. We are not a melee, so we won't have to worry about that. So here I'm going to stay to the right, and I'll avoid a fight in doing so. Very easy to miss that. There's a little path right here. And I'm going to go through here, and there's going to be a fight. Bam. So I'm getting to the end fight, going through this hedge maze, just by fighting one group of mobs, but there's a bunch more group of mobs in there if you do not take the direct path. Sometimes there are collectibles in the end fight, but there are not right now. Get my Tainted Spellcasting Spell Power Boost and my Reaper Spell Power Boost. And that is all. Hit the book. And then talk to the parrot. And we are done. Here's one of the trinkets I was talking about. This one is Insight 31 and Magical Sheltering 5 plus a green slot. And now we're going to go over to the Sacred Bounty, which is over kind of near, well, we're going to be passing the Captives quest. Captives not part of this chain. Just a standalone quest out here in Cerulean Hills. This vineyard here is an explorer point. And so is this wagon. Hey, there's a rare. Let's kill him. And take his stuff. And there can be another rare up here, Twin Fang, and there's Twin Fang. These rares don't drop anything special from their chests. But hey, free stuff. I'm not going to pick up stacks of ammunition because those are kind of heavy, and I don't want to weigh myself down. I don't have a lot of strength at this level. Now, because I don't have a lot of strength in low levels, I have, at times, instead of getting a point of dex here, we'll get strength. Just a point of strength to help me, you know, not get encumbered as easily. But later on, if I did that, later on I would respec that to dex anyways, because I would want the dexterity to help out with, like, armor class and reflex saves, for example. It's very nice once you get to a point where you don't have to worry about where you're going to spend your Reaper points, that you just have enough to get everything that's available at every level. And that's something you work up to. You know, if you're watching this series, you're a little bit newer. You know, I don't want you to, you know, stress about, oh, I don't have a lot of past lives or I don't have a lot of Reaper points. It's a process of coming to be. You know, that's what makes DDO fun and engaging for a long time to come. You know, I've been playing this game for over 12 years, and there's still plenty of stuff for me to do. I just started a new project too, now that, like, both my mains are getting really, really close to being done. Voodoo is done, at least as much as I want to do. Although I would like to have done 2 more fighter lives. But I didn't realize those past lives would help my stun DCs, or at least I'd forgotten. So we'll just wait till the next race comes out, which will probably be next year, and I'll pick up a couple more fighter lives then. And then over on Ginger, I just got to do my 3 Tabaxi lives to get my racial completionist back. Convert her over to a pure caster druid. Double Reaper, that's nasty. And one's a fear. So I don't like that at all. I'm just going to do some tactical retreating to keep away from that Fear Reaper. See how his dot didn't affect me until I got close to him, and I just got 1 stack. Now, if that Carnage Reaper wasn't there, I probably would have just gotten in his face. Since these halls are kind of twisty, it's harder to get further away from him. But I didn't want to get up in his face and then just have the Carnage Reaper beaten on me. Anyways, DDO is a game that you can really sink into. If you are a little bit newer to it, that's one of the appeals of it. That it's not the kind of a game that you're going to play for a month and think, oh, I've done everything, I'm bored. There's so much to see and do in this game. So don't worry about not having past lives and Reaper points. You can still do really great things. I have True First Life video series where I went to another server where I didn't have anything. I didn't have a guild or friends or gear or wealth. Any plat. I had nothing. No past lives. Nothing. And, I was over there, elite streaking and doing Reapers, soloing some raids even. There's still a lot of really great stuff you can do even without all the past lives and stuff. And I have friends in my guild that just, they don't play as often as I do, and they aren't on the past life, the TR train. Yeah, these are endgame players that are, doing raids and playing endgame content, and that's okay. The past lives are great and all. Sometimes I refer to them as the ice cream on the pie. That your build is the pie, and the ice cream just makes the pie better, right? The past lives just makes your build better. But if you're starting with a good build, you're going to be in a good place. But if it's not a very good build, then all the past lives in the world aren't going to help it too much. It's like if you start off, with a shit pie, the best ice cream in the world isn't going to make you want to eat a shit pie because it's a shit pie, right? But you start out with a good pie, like fresh baked apple pie. You put some ice cream on there, it just makes it even better. But that apple pie can still be really good even without ice cream. Right, now we're going to go do the final one, which is housekeeping. And that one is located over by the trainers in the harbor. Just recall again, actually. Usually, in a video series, I would edit out the space in between quests, but for continuity, I think I'm going to leave it in. Why not? I can do whatever I want, right? I can make my videos however I want. And I do want, this series to have lots of good information for newer players, and newer players can just struggle even finding their way around. Right, we're going to go into housekeeping. I always thought that center hag looked like Senator Palpatine, or the Emperor. I'm over here before I start buffing, because there's kind of a long wait while the hags talk it out. So just come in here right away, and even once things get started, there's no action right away. So if you're doing this with a group, there's no harm in coming in here just to get the dialogue started. Because even after the dialogue is finished, it just takes you to Oh, to purgatory, I suppose. Tonight is Thursday. This is the one night a week that I live stream. I normally stream a morning show, but I stream our raids on Thursday night. It's about an hour from now, so after I get done making this video, I will be live streaming. And if you've never visited my live stream, I hope that you will. We have a lot of fun over there. I've been live streaming for, well, about 4 years now on Twitch. And yeah, we have a great time every morning at 9 a.m. Eastern until 3 p.m. And sometimes the show goes long. I stream on Thursday nights. I do a late morning show on DDO stream. That's DDO's official Twitch channel. On Saturdays. All right, just going to choose Lily. You don't have to do all of these. I choose this one because I feel like it's quick and easy. You know, you can do some of the other ones if you want. It's kind of a weird fight. You have like, you know, some of these mobs look like other mobs. Like these look like gargoyles, but they're, oh, that does say race gargoyle, but some of these aren't really coded like what they look like. So some of the mobs might be vulnerable to things that, you know, what their, you know, real counterparts are might otherwise not be affected by. You know, like these spiders, for example, I think they'll be affected by web. Yeah, because they're not actually spiders. It's just, it's like, this is all like a dream or something. So they're not really spiders. Now, even though I like to do this one because I feel like it's quick and easy, you can get overwhelmed here. This is a quest that has a legendary counterpart, and when you get, you know, lots of mobs spawning at a time like this, you know, in Reaper mode, you can get Reapers that spawn. With every spawn and every death, you can get Reapers. So you can get into a situation where, like, you get overwhelmed by Reapers really easy. You know, it happens sometimes. That's one of the things about Reaper mode and Champions as well, that, you know, you can run a quest back to back, the same quest, and have completely different experiences in it because of the randomness of, you know, the numbers of Reapers that you get, the types of Reapers that you get, the number of champions that you get, the types of champions that you get, the types of buffs those champions get. All that stuff is a random element to questing. So years ago, we didn't have champions and we didn't have Reaper mode, and quests were, you know, pretty much exactly the same every time you ran them. There are some, you know, rare mobs that can spawn in some quests, but that was only a tiny bit of variability. That generally the quest was exactly the same every time you ran it. But then they brought out champions many years ago. About 7, 8 years ago. I remember I was doing a video series when champions came out. It was like my first year of making videos on YouTube. And then Reaper mode came out about 6 years ago. So we can talk to the other NPCs and do, you know, their little zones, but I'm just gonna rip the seam and do the end fight. Alright, I'm gonna hit both my spell power boost, my tainted spell casting, and my Reaper spell power boost to help me out with this end fight. I think Cadence is a healer, so it's good to get rid of her first, so she doesn't just stay there and heal the others. But, you know, with the chain shape, every blast is hitting every one of them anyways. Well, I think that's all I'm going to do for this episode. I definitely will do some more quests this level. You know, I still have a whole rank to go till I get level 5 anyways. And also note that I was doing, these are base level 3 quests, which I could have done as high as level 5 and still gotten maximum XP. But I just hadn't gotten enough XP to level yet. So I will be doing base level 3 quests in the next episode as well. All right. Well, thanks for watching. Any questions, you can make a comment in this video. You can also make a post to my Warlock or to my build post in the Warlock forums, and you can stop by the live stream to ask questions and get answers in real time. We'll see you soon.